Hi guys, lovely topic today, which is the toilet training. Um, Probably not of interest to most of you, but obviously for anybody that has an autistic child or a child with additional needs, and you're really struggling with toilet training, then there might be something in it that's useful for you. It's something that I have talked about before, I think, but I don't know to what degree. So yeah, we're having in some ways regressions with this at the moment, but we'll get to that in a minute. Let's go back to I think Ella was potty trained by 2.5. I might be wrong, but I would say she did take a bit longer to do a poo. Like that was a bit of a she'd ask for a nappy and that kind of thing, but apparently that was fairly normal. But yeah, she was about 2.5 and she just potty trained fairly quickly. Didn't really have any accidents. Occasionally, maybe if she fell asleep in the car or something, but it was a pretty simple process. Now, Jaden didn't really show any interest for a long, long time. He wouldn't ever sit on the potty. He definitely wouldn't sit on the toilet. So he got to say he was getting on for 3.5 by the time we'd get him to stand at the toilet. So we kind of skipped all the sit on the potty and everything else and just said, right, this is how big boys, men, whatever, do it. You stand at the toilet. That's what you do. And he would stand there for ages and ages and ages, and he'd go, "Yeah, I did a wee." I'm like, "Have you actually though?" No. And I didn't know at the time. I should really do more research. At the time, I had no idea that this was a thing. That it's a natural sensory issue, in that they almost don't know how to release. Is that the right word? They can't physically pee. They don't know how to. So he's standing there and he's telling his body to pee, but his body doesn't know. Oh, you have to loosen this muscle or whatever you physically have to do to release the pee. Quite a graphic video, sorry. So yeah, that went on for quite a while. He'd stand at the toilet. He would go for hours. He would never ever have an accident. People say, "Well, just don't ever put a nappy back on him." I was like, but he won't. It won't get to a point where he some point has to pee. It will get to the point where he will make himself ill because he can't physically pee. So the second it's a classic thing, isn't it? The second he put a nappy on, or at one point it was pull-ups. Pull-ups were a disaster for us because obviously pull-ups aren't designed for a child that's held their pee. Because he'd hold his pee all day, and then you'd put the pull-up on him, and he would just pee that much that it would just like, which obviously I'm always contradicting myself, aren't I? Because obviously to a degree he must have known how to kind of release that pee, because as soon as you put a pull-up or a nappy on him, he could do it, but at a toilet he couldn't. So the only way that Jaden potty trained himself overnight when it actually happened. I'm trying to think how old he was. I can remember, I will say he was about to turn 4, because when I first went to look around schools and I had like the tours around the schools, I was asking them what happens if he comes to school and he's not potty trained, and they were like, not an option, couldn't come to school. I think maybe I don't know whether that's right. I don't know whether if they have a dedicated one-to-one, the one-to-one can change them. I'm not sure, but yeah, certainly when I was first looking around schools, I was kind of told it wasn't an option. So yeah, I'm sure I've said this before, but you may have not obviously seen all my videos. Basically what ended up happening was, and everyone thought I was absolutely crazy because I was always happy about it, he was half asleep. I was dragging him out of the car to take him into a pub. It was just me, him and Ella, and we were going for a meal. Luckily I was dressed in black head to toe, because I'd carried him in from the car. We got to sit down in this restaurant, and he was sort of half awake. He wasn't fully awake, but he was half awake, and he peed, and it was, luckily it didn't go all over the floor or anything, so I didn't have to even tell anybody. It just obviously soaked him, and it went all down my black leggings. So I literally bundled him back in the car, drove home, and that was that. He was potty trained. It was literally something in his brain went, "Oh, that's what you have to do," and then from the next morning, that was that. So to have a wee. So to have a wee from that moment. So when he was, I think he was about 2 months off turning 4. He can stand at the toilet and he can pee. Now, the obvious issue being, well, not obvious, but if you have autistic kids, it's obvious. Hand dryers, the fear of the unknown, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes the toilets are too tall. I tend to take him into disabled toilets. I don't really, if avoidable, I don't take him into like a normal women's toilet because of obviously hand dryers. Although with hand dryers, it is more the fear. So the fear of going into a toilet where there might be a hand dryer, he will scream, not bolt, what's the word I'm looking for? Go rigid, can't physically, you like try to drag him, you can't get him in the door of the toilet. If you're stood in the toilet and the hand dryer goes off, he won't scream, he will freeze, he'll cover his ears, but he doesn't actually go. Which, I mean, it started, I would say it was probably, well, certainly before he was 1, hand dryers were an issue, because as soon as he could go off a complete tangent, but it is relevant to an extent, from the age of, well, when he could stand, he'd always scream, if I was getting him changed in a public toilet or whatever anyway, he would scream. I think it's the smells, just general overwhelm. But from the point where he could stand, which, I mean, he didn't walk till he was nearly 2, but he could obviously stand before that, I always had to change his nappy if we were in a public place. So if we were in like a public toilet, I would always change his nappy with him standing up. And that, yeah, I think was related to like the noises, the smells, everything else, that he wouldn't lie down because he was too scared. Anyway, so yeah, public toilets can be an issue in general. If it's a disabled one and he knows there's nobody but me and Ella in there, he's okay-ish. I tend to pretend to turn the hand dryer off. Like sometimes they have like an isolation switch above them. Yeah, I would say that I've turned that off so it can't come on. The stupid lies I tell to get through the day, but there have been instances when it's just not been physically possible to get him into the toilet. And the things that have happened on those occasions, there was a time last summer and we were in Stourport, and the toilet was a situation, the toilet was too tall. I think because it was a disabled toilet, it was like higher than a standard toilet, and he just wouldn't. And it must have been last summer. I even rang his dad and I was like, just tell him it's okay. Tell him he can go. He can wee in this toilet. And his dad like thinks I'm crazy at these moments, but I'm like, I'm just trying to get through the day. So in the end, I was like, I can't physically put this child back in the car. If he falls asleep in the car on the way home or something, he's gonna pee himself. So on that occasion, I let him pee in a bush, like took him out. But then, of course, you get into that problem of, well, what if he thinks that he can just pee anywhere? Because we have also had, I don't know whether I think I might have mentioned this before in a video. Another instance where we'd gone to Gruffalo Trails, which is like out near Leominster, and he wouldn't go into the toilet. And I kept saying, but do you need the toilet? And I said, well, what if Grandad takes you off? If Grandad takes you down, into the bushes, and you can wee down there. And it was one of those moments where he didn't have a clue what was going on because Grandad took him down there, and Jason just stood there like, what are we doing? His Grandad was like, you can have a wee, like put your pants down, have a wee. But then 5 minutes later he pulled his pants down in front of like just random people in public, because it's that black and white thing of, well, a minute, you told me to take my pants down a minute ago, but no, I can't. Yeah, so that's where we are with weeing still, that in general he can pee so long as he's relatively comfortable with the toilets, or he is a bugger because he will just hold it until he gets home. Now when it comes to poos, yeah, it's a whole other story. So when I last saw his paediatrician, which was last October, they set him a target. They needed to be able to sit on the toilet, and at one point there was a week, like he has these random moments where he's like, oh wait, I can do something new today, and he just sat on the toilet and it was like, wow, amazing. And I think it lasted for maybe 5 days, where he didn't actually do anything, but he sat on the toilet every day for 5 days. And then obviously he was just having a bad day, and that day didn't, and then it's just gone back to no, can't, it's terrifying. So what he does do, and what he's always done, is he will ask for a nappy. Do his poo in a nappy. So he'll only ever do it at home. It tends to be in the evening. He will come home, ask for a nappy, have a nappy on, do a poo, and then once he's had the poo, just get him changed and back to normal. But what we're trying to do now, which is kind of poo related, kind of not, so he'll do that, and then he'll go to bed now without a nappy, and then once he's asleep, so normally not until I'm going to bed, so it's kind of a transitioning into the idea of being dry at night, that I will then just put a nappy on him when I'm going to bed, so he can stay dry from kind of when he goes to sleep at maybe like 8 to like 10 or 11. He'll stay dry during that time. It's just, yeah, beyond that, he has tried going all night, but if he wets the bed, he gets so distressed about it that it's at this point just not worth the trouble. The only, yeah, what is it at the beginning of regression? So it used to be that the second once he'd ask for an nappy, he'd do a poo straight away, and then he would say, "Mummy, I've done my poo," and we'd go change him, all fine. Recently, I don't know why, whether he's struggling to go or what it is, he'll have a nappy on for longer, so he's not just instantly doing a poo and then getting it changed. He'll have his nappy on, and then I do 100 other things, completely forget he's even got one on, and then all of a sudden I'll go, "Jane, have you done your poo?" And he'll be like, "Oh yeah, I did it ages ago." I'm like, "Why didn't you tell me?" I don't know why. He's just, yeah, recently he's not telling me when he's done a poo in this nappy, and he would quite happily just sit there for an hour, and I'm like, why? Please just tell me when you've done it so we can get you changed and get it done. So yeah, we've still got a lot of work to do. We're, I don't know, 50%. Well, it's 50 really, isn't it? It's squeezing up pews, and it's almost like part way through the night. Obviously, it's a lot of work still to do, and at 5, it is quite a delay, I would say, that to be at this situation. But yeah, I don't know whether you'll get any little tips from that, or just generally think, yeah, we're on the same lines, or if you have got any tips on how to deal with the poo situation, then I'd be grateful.